Good morning, class. I'm going to go over the practice problems from week 7. Okay, the practice problems from week 7. All right, these are Monday's practice problems. This first one right here, in your video, it explained how to do your negative exponents. Remember, when you have a negative exponent, you're going to write this as a positive exponent by moving it to the bottom of a fraction. When it's a positive exponent, you multiply, okay? When it's negative, you divide. Multiplication, positive exponent, negative divide. They're opposites, okay? So here, to make this a positive exponent, you're going to write it as a division problem. Move this down to the bottom, and now you have 2 to the positive 3 power. And this is your answer. You're going to do this one the same way. Number 2. This is a negative exponent. You're going to move it to the bottom of the fraction as the denominator. So now you got negative 4, leave it in the parentheses, and it's going to be to the positive 2 power. This is your answer, okay? All right. Anytime you have 0 as an exponent, that means you're not going to multiply 2 at all, so your answer is going to be 1. Anytime 0 is the exponent, the answer is 1. Number 4, you're going to do the same thing again. Here, you have negative 3 as an exponent, so you're going to move this down to the bottom of a fraction. So now it's going to be a positive exponent, okay? Let's do this one. All right, so we now have a combination of 0 as an exponent and negative exponents. All right, so out to the side, m to the 0 power is going to be 1. And then out to the side, n to the negative 4 power is going to be 1 over n to now the 4th power, okay? So when we multiply, we have 2 times 1 times this right here, which is 1 over n to the 4th, okay? So we can write these as fractions and multiply straight across. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times n to the 4th is n to the 4th. And this is going to be your answer. All right, we're going to do the same thing over here. We have a negative exponent here, so let's write that out to the side. X to the negative 1 power. To make this a positive 1, write it as a fraction. Now it's x to the 1 power, or just x. You don't need to even need to write to the 1 power, okay? So this is what we have. We have negative 4 times 1 over x times y to the 3rd. You can write these as fractions and multiply straight across. So this is going to give me a negative 4 times 1, that's still negative 4, and negative 4 times y to the 3rd is going to be negative 4y to the 3rd. On the bottom, we have 1 times x times 1, that's just going to be x. Okay? All right, number 7 here. You have a negative exponent here, so out to the side, y to the negative 2, you write that as 1 over y to now the positive 2. All right, so this is going to be negative x to the 2nd times 1 over y to the 2nd. You can write this as a fraction and multiply straight across. This is going to give me a negative x squared on the top, and this is going to give me a positive y to the 2nd, okay? The exponent here is positive. That's why it stayed right where it was. I didn't have to do this because the exponent here is positive. All right, so this is going to be your answer. Okay, here, negative exponent, so out to the side, you're going to write this as 1 over x to now the positive 2 power. So we write this as 1 over x to the 2nd power times y to the 3rd power, and you can write this as a fraction by putting a 1 under it. When you multiply straight across, this gives you y to the 3rd on the top and x to the 2nd on the bottom. Leave all your answers as in exponent form. And that's Monday, okay? Let's look at Tuesday. All right, We're writing the number in scientific notation. Remember in the video I explained that the purpose of scientific notation is to write extremely large or extremely small numbers in readable form. Now to do that, what you do is you locate where the decimal is in that number. Your decimal is here, okay? You're going to move the decimal behind the first significant digit. Well, 0 is not significant because it doesn't hold value. So as you read from left to right, the first number that holds value is 6. So we're going to move this decimal behind the 6. Let's count how many times we move that decimal behind the 6 because that's going to be our exponent. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is going to be, our new number is going to be 6.0. I'm just going to put a 0 as a place value. And I moved it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm automatically going to write times 10. And since I moved it 6 times, my exponent is going to be 6. Now this number was smaller than 1, so my exponent is a negative 6. Okay, the original number is a small number, so my exponent is smaller than 1, so my exponent is going to be a negative. Okay, all right, let's look at number 2. You're going to locate where the decimal is. This is where the decimal is, right here. Locate the decimal. Now you're going to move the decimal behind the first significant digit, a digit that holds value. Read it from left to right. As you read a number from left to right, the first digit that holds value is 5. So we're going to move this decimal behind the 5. Okay, so we move it. Count how many times we place values we had to move or spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is going to be 5.4 times 10 to the positive 6 because this original number was greater than 1. So your exponent is a positive number. Okay, 60. If you don't see the decimal, it's automatically behind the last number. You're going to move the decimal behind the first significant digit. The first significant digit here is 6. We read a number from left to right. So we're going to move it behind the 6. So this gives me 6.0. I automatically write times 10. I moved the decimal 1 time, so my exponent is a 1. It's a positive 1 because 60 is greater than 1. It was larger than 1, so my exponent is a positive. 4. Okay? Locate the decimal. Move the decimal behind the first significant digit, a number that holds value. 0 does not hold value. As you read from left to right, your first significant digit that you come to is 9. So we're going to move the decimal behind the 9. Count how many times you move that decimal. That's 1, 2, and 3. So that's going to be 9.0 times 10 to the negative 3 because the original number was smaller than 1. Okay, that's your answer here. All right, let's look at this one. That number is already behind the first significant digit, so you can write it in scientific notation by saying times 10, and you didn't move it, so it's to the 0 power. Let's look at this one. Locate your decimal. Move it behind the first significant digit. 0 is not significant because it does not hold value, so we have to move it behind the 2. So when we move it, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is going to be 2.0 times 10 to the negative 7 because this original number was smaller than 1. Okay? Number 7, if you don't see the decimal, it's automatically behind the last number. You're going to move the decimal behind the first significant digit. You read a number from left to right like you're reading a book. You're going to place this number behind the 2 because that's the first significant digit, the first number that holds value. Count how many times you move that decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is going to be 2.0 times 10 to the positive 6 because the original number was greater than 1. Okay, here, I'm going to move the decimal. It's not in scientific notation because the decimal here is not behind the first digit, which is a 1. So I got to move it there. So when I move it there, I only got to move it one time. So what I do is I have 7.1 now times 10. The third power was already there, but I moved it one time. So I'm going to add 1 to it, okay? So when I add 1 to it, this is going to be 7.10 times 10 to the 4th power. And that's going to be my answer, okay? Questions about that? All right, if I were to move it in the other direction, I'd have to subtract 1. But because I'm moving it to, it was a larger number and moving it to a smaller number, I'm going to add 1. All right, Wednesday. You're writing the number, this is Tuesday. You're writing the number back in its original state. So you're going to move the decimal this many times, whatever the exponent is. If it's a -1, that means the number's getting smaller. If it's a negative number exponent, the number's getting smaller. Positive exponent, the number's getting larger. So let's rewrite this. This is a -1, so that means we got to move it in a direction where the number's getting smaller. So you're going to move it in this direction. Going to move it to the left one time. So this is going to be 0.09 is my answer. Number 18, this is another -1. Rewrite the 2. You're going to move it in a direction where the number's going to get smaller. The decimal's here, so I got to move it one time to the left. So my answer is going to be 0.2, and I can put a 0 in front as a placeholder, or I could have kept it as 0.2. Number 19, this is a +5, so that means the number is going to get larger. So I rewrite 2. The decimal's automatically here if you don't see it. And you're going to move your decimal 5 times where the number's getting larger. So that's to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Put 0 as your placeholders. So this, how many zeros is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? This is your answer. All right, here's a +2, so that means that you're going to move your decimal so that the number's getting larger. So we got 804. If you don't see the decimals, automatically behind the last number. And you're going to move it 2 times. So you use 0 as your placeholder, so you have 80400, and this is 80,400. 80,400. Okay. All right. This is the last day. All right, I'm okay on time so far. All right, so here's kind of squished up together, but that's okay. All right, so when you're multiplying, what you do is you're going to multiply the numbers together, and you can use your calculator to do this. You're going to multiply the 8.18 times 1.15 together and see what you get. Then you're going to multiply the 10 to the -6th power times the 10, times the 10 to the -5th power, okay? So this is how you, if you do it separately, this is what you do. And then you bring it back together. However, we are going to do it in the calculator, okay? So this is what your calculator looks like, and you want your answers written in scientific notation, so you go to mode, okay? When you go to mode, you look for decimal, and you want it not normal form, but you want your answer written in scientific notation. So you switch it over to scientific notation, and you press done. So now all you have to do is just type this in, and when you type it in, if you type it in correctly, you're going to get your answers. So let's do this together. So we have parentheses, okay? You have 8.18 times 10, okay? caret key is what you use. Caret key is right here. That's for your exponents. You're raising it to the negative. Don't forget, I told you to use your negative and not minus. When you have a negative, use negative to negative 6 power. Okay? All right, I moved it out of that mode from caret key by pressing the over button and then close the parentheses. Times, or you can just put, if you don't put any operation between the parentheses, it's automatically multiplication, times 1.15 times 10, caret key, negative 5, okay? And then close the parentheses there, all right? Now, when you press enter, this is what you get, all right? So I'm going to write this down for you for number 1. I'm going to write it over here in the corner. What you get is 9.40, well, actually 407, and you get E, negative 11. Okay, this is super important. Your E in the calculator stands for times 10, okay? So you see E, that this is what it represents. So in other words, your scientific notation is going to be 9.407 times 10 to the negative 11 power, okay? And that's how that works, all right? I'm going to do, let's see, how does time? Okay, I got time to do another one. All right. Okay, so let's look at another one. All right, so we have parentheses 5.8 times 10. We have caret key, negative 6. Okay, press my arrow over so I can get out of the caret key or out of the exponent mode. Times, put the parentheses, and you have 2 times 10, caret key, 4, get out of that, close the parentheses. All right, so that's how you do this one. You press enter, and what you get here is 1.16 E, negative 1. To write this in scientific notation, I'll just put an arrow so it doesn't look weird. You write this as 1.16 times 10. Remember, E is times 10 in the calculator. To the whatever number is after it is negative 1, so it's to the negative 1. It's the negative 1 power. All right. Okay, I got time to do one more, so I'm going to go down here and do the ones that are division. So with division, when I do these, I'm going to put these in parentheses, okay, when I divide. All right, so let's see what that, look at that. We got parentheses, then that's 7.8 times, we got 10, caret key, 4, okay, arrow out of that, close the parentheses. We have to press division because we're dividing. So we type in the numerator first, then the denominator, divided by, then we have parentheses, 8 times 10, caret key right here under the clear, and that's to the 7th. Is that 7 or 1? Let me make sure. That's to the 1 power, okay? Sorry about that, y'all. Come out of that, press the arrow over, and close the parentheses. All right, when you do that, you press enter there, and this is what that gives you. Equals, we got 9.75 E2. That's what you get in the calculator. So this is 9 7/75. Some people say 0.75, that's fine. Times 10 to the 2nd power. Okay? This is your answer there. Okay, if you need to see that again, rewind and watch it again. But please make sure that you use your calculator. If you don't have a calculator, you can download one on your phone like I did, the TI-83 calculator, or you can use Desmo's on the Winston-Salem Forsyth County School page. Either way, or I have a calculator on my webpage as well that you can download and use that. Okay? All right, have a good day.